For our podcast disclaimer, please visit the episode description. Thanks for coming back to What the Heck is Happening in HR. Today, I want to chat a little bit about some terms that we use or we've heard about, which we might even be fudging a bit that we know what they mean. So I want to hit on three of them that seems to have popped up here since COVID hit. I want to talk about quiet hiring, quiet firing, and the newest one, love bombing. Yes, it does involve recruitment. So, quiet hiring, let's talk about that. Quiet hiring is when organizations will expand the job of someone rather than perhaps replace somebody in a job. So, sometimes we have that happen when it's an enrichment of the job. Perhaps I was a recruiter and I handled non-exempt employees or I handled manufacturing employees. And now I'm going to move into having more office employees or perhaps some managerial employees because that's where we're going to have a greater increase. Or perhaps even the opposite. I handled managerial people, so now I'm going to handle trades folks. So it's a change in the role, an enrichment to learn more, to be able to apply what we know. But quiet hiring's a little different than just enrichment. Quiet hiring is also saying, we don't have anybody in that role right now, so if you could pick up and do that. I feel like I'm a scene out of Office Space right now. But if you can pick up and do that job, that would be really great for a while. So you want to be sure if your organization is participating in quiet hiring that you understand what the expectations are. How does that work within your workload? How does that work within your job description? Because that's the actual template to say this is what needs to be done for you to succeed. So quiet hiring is not manipulation. I think it's just kind of come about because of the rush for talent. And when people are unable to find the fit that they wish for the open position, they start sort of farming out those duties. And what happens is it can slow down the recruitment process from the manager's point of view because now it's being handled. From your point of view, will it really go away? Does it give you time to plan on your original job? So quiet hiring is that expansion of work without definition and perhaps without the enrichment factor, which would help you develop. Now let's talk about quiet firing. It actually happens with employees and employers. It's called on the employee side quiet quitting. So what quiet quitting means, well, perhaps I was the result, or my job's the result of this quiet hiring where I just got loaded up and suddenly my work-life balance is off and I just don't have enough time to be able to do the job I need to do. So the employee backs off. They do what's needed, when it's needed, but no more than that. There's no more of that discretionary effort, which perhaps they did when they were appropriately led and their workload was appropriately managed. So quiet quitting is that. I'm pulling back. I am doing just what's needed. Quiet firing is pretty passive-aggressive. Actually, they're both passive-aggressive, but quiet firing on the employer side is, I'm perhaps not going to invite you to some meetings. I'm going to make it a little more difficult for you to kind of give me updates on things. Perhaps I'm going to give you an update, ask you for an update that might be unreasonable. In the legal sense, it can be considered a hostile work environment, perhaps, if it becomes very manipulative. Sometimes there's just a personality clash between a manager and an employee, or There's been a conversation that needs to take place but hasn't. And shame on the manager for not doing that and not having that conversation. If they're upset with the employee for some reason, you don't put them in timeout. You don't pout about it as a leader. You have that difficult conversation. You're adults. You move on. You talk about expectations and how you're going to communicate it. So quiet firing is really just making it so you don't want to be there anymore. A hostile work environment would be something that might feel more discriminatory, something perhaps related to sexual harassment, perhaps something related to downright bullying. But for quiet firing, it really, this particular term seems to have more of a focus of just ignoring you until you want to go make a change. So let's talk about something a little different, and that's the other side, and that's love bombing. Now, you might have heard about love bombing when you're dating or in the dating world or in the romantic world. A person heaps on the praise and has grand gestures and sort of manipulates their potential partner of, you gotta like me. Boy, you gotta be indebted to me. Well, we're finding that this is happening with this talent push. So how's it happening? Because people, recruiters, are anxious to help fill those positions for managers, they're having the interviews. And if the person even feels or seems a little bit okay, they start love bombing them. Oh, the manager loved you. Oh, you'd be a perfect fit. Now, when you hear those things and you're the candidate, you want to be sure you start asking questions that your gut's already telling you. You know, my granny used to have a saying that if you're asking yourself the question, you already know the answer. So if you're like, let's talk, can we talk about the culture? How is the work done there? Oh, the culture is great. You're going to love it here. You're going to fit right in. That's not an answer. You want to find out what happened to the last people in the position. Why are they sending all of these cyber roses to you? What is it? And you can get very caught up and excited about a role and the promises that are made and might end up with an offer and end up accepting it in a place that you really don't want to be. Or you might be putting on hold other interviews that you would normally take because you're anticipating an offer, but yet you never get one. It's just a ploy to keep you warm. You know, love bombing can be that, well, I thought we always had Friday and Saturday nights. Those were our nights. I shouldn't have to call and be able to schedule a date. And that's what love bombing can be with the recruiters. I didn't know I needed to tell you we hired somebody else. I thought you knew that we were interested in you. So from a candidate perspective, be wary. If it seems too good to be true, stop and ask questions and get the answers to your questions. My advice for recruiters is don't do this. You can be enthused about somebody, absolutely, and you can want to fill that position. But good recruiters know that we want people who want to be there because they enjoy the work, they believe in the mission, they can fit within our community that we serve. They also realize that if we don't have a good fit, and that doesn't mean hiring the same as to what you have, but if we don't have that welcoming environment, if we don't have the job defined, that we're going to be turning around filling this position again. So we end up with a churn and burn. So don't quiet hire, don't quiet fire, don't quiet quit, and don't love bomb. Just be authentic in who you are and what you want, whether you're the employer or the employee. And we're hoping you want to subscribe to What the Heck is Happening in HR. We drop new episodes every Monday, and we look forward to getting your feedback on these. Thanks so much for listening.